I'm very excited to be joined by Theo from the Gunzilla team today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Piers. I'm one of the partners at Delphi Ventures. We've been super active investing across more than 160 projects in crypto going back to 2019, around 50 or so sort of gaming and gaming-related infrastructure. And it's been a long journey, lots of learnings, being as committed to this space as we have been. But yeah, enormously excited to dig in today with Theo. So perhaps we could have a bit of an intro on you and kind of the journey up to Gunzilla.
Absolutely. So after having been a serial entrepreneur since 1998 and building over a dozen IT technology companies, I got into investing in the Web3 space. Our family office did over several hundred investments in the space. And towards the end of 2021, we found Gunzilla and made a very, very large bet back then. Absolutely fell in love with the team, the project, the product, and initially became an advisor. And then as things kind of evolved, became core team member. And now I'm the director of Web3 at Gunzilla.
Amazing. So yeah, I wanted to kick it off. Obviously, people can see some gameplay behind us here, but really wanted to give a bit of an overview of kind of the gameplay, what you guys are going after, and some of the game lore.
Absolutely. So what we're building, or in essence, as you can see already practically have finished building, is what we call the Battle Royale 2.0 game. It has very, very unique components that no other game in the industry has, such as 60 hours of storyline on both sides of the conflict. One of the biggest complaints that shooter players have about why they don't play Battle Royale games is that there's no storyline. Not only did we fix that, but it is done and written by none other than Richard Morgan, who wrote the book Altered Carbon, that was turned into an award-winning Netflix show by the same name. So that's one. Two, we have the best graphics in the industry, and that's not us saying it, it's actual professional esports players that are in early playtests saying that this is the best Battle Royale game they've ever played. We have a very, very, very unique limb system where people have a very, very extensive set of strategic decisions that they can make in real time based on what limbs they find. You can actually also shoot off these limbs, as Piers actually has experienced himself, because he's an avid off-the-grid playtester as well. And you could shoot off a limb, run over, grab it, and exchange it if you like that limb better. And a lot of other strategic choices that system provides, in addition to a myriad of other very, very new and innovative aspects that we added to this, what we call Battle Royale 2.0 genre.
Yeah, I want to stress that I've probably got over 7,000 hours playing shooter games throughout my lifetime, and over the last few months playing these playtests, I've amassed like 60, 70 hours now, and yeah, genuinely think this is one of the best games I've ever played, and I'm very excited to see what it does upon release relatively soon. So perhaps we could touch on some of like Gunzilla's origin story and kind of business history. You know, what was it that led to your conviction in that team? Who were the team to begin with behind the development? And yeah, give us some more color there.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with the fact that by the time I'd found the team, they were already 100 full-time employees, a playable prototype of the game, and 2 years of development, with the founders investing $15 million of their own money into this project. I had never seen anything like this before, not in my Web2 investing days, nor in my Web3 investing days. So that's one. Two, both Alexander Zoll and Vlad Korolev, the two founders of the project and the company, have extensive business experience prior to this, which includes the building of another shooter that amassed almost 150 million gamers and made over $1 billion in revenue. So it was just one of the most unique teams that I had ever seen that was building something that is, in my opinion, also extremely unique, both for Web 2 and Web 3 gaming. In addition to that, at that point in time, they had already on board Neil Blomkamp, an award-nominated film director that is behind such hits as District 9, Chappie, Elysium with Matt Damon, and last year he also directed Gran Turismo with Orlando Bloom. And as I mentioned, you know, Richard Morgan and another, you know, just insane cast of folks that has now grown to over 340 full-time employees after, you know, the additional 3 years of development.
Amazing. And so yeah, for all of our you know, blockchain aficionados in the crowd, maybe we could touch on kind of the on-chain footprint. You know, for a game that's this geared towards a mainstream audience, how are you guys approaching that? What are some of the sort of design philosophy around those pieces? Absolutely.
Well, number one, I usually like to lead with the fact that I'm not a huge fan of labels. So people label things Web 2, people label things Web 3. Our mission is to provide absolutely the best and most entertaining and most enjoyable experience possible within, you know, the gaming industry. So we take whatever components are the best possible components for making that happen. And that, yes, does include full asset ownership. So every single item within the game that the user finds themselves on the island is an item that they can fully own and is tracked on-chain. In addition to that, a very unique aspect of our game is that there is no company store. There's only a peer-to-peer marketplace. The only two ways to obtain items is either to find them within a gaming session and extract them, or to purchase them from another gamer that extracted the item and then listed it on the peer-to-peer marketplace. So that's one very, very, very large aspect. In addition to that, we also track all of the activity, as in battle passes, purchases, minting of in-game items, selling of in-game items on-chain, and that is accessible to anyone and everyone through our own blockchain scanner that we developed ourselves, as well as the ability to include a very, very large amount of folks that are only interested in Web3 through what we call our validator node ecosystem. Those are nodes that mint all the in-game items for off the grid, and in the future will be upgradable to also mint in-game items for other games that will be coming into our ecosystem.
Absolutely. No, I think it's super exciting. Could we maybe double click on the extraction mechanics so people have a bit of a clearer overview? We're going to show a little clip at the end that gives a bit of an oversight on it. But yeah, how does the kind of hex extraction work? What does that look like within the actual gameplay?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is part of the lore. So it's not just a thing that's bolted onto the game. You are running around an island within a battle royale with 150 other players. You loot weapons, limbs, and other such things. And occasionally, these boxes will also drop what we call a hex. You then have to carry that hex to an extraction point. At the extraction point, you have to decode that hex, which in essence sends it to our validators up in the space station. We have a space elevator concept with a space station. And those validators then decode that hex that then allows you to gain those in-game items. During the decoding process, which is between 1 minute and 2 minutes long, depending on the level and rarity of the hex, you have to actually defend that extraction point or risk losing your in-game items to another team.
Absolutely. Gives rise to all sorts of fun gameplay. One of the metas is like having a hex extract as the storm closes in. So obviously you can leave it there, and in theory no one will be able to take it. I've literally witnessed people sprint out into the storm to like hack our hex extractions just to mess with us. Gives rise to all sorts of fun gameplay. So I wanted to touch on sort of this concept of the mainstream bridge. Like, why do you think it is that Gunzilla is finally the one to deliver on this sort of like AAA gaming promise?
Well, there's several components to that. Number one, right from the outset, we said that we cannot have any friction. So it needs to be, and it is, free to download, free to play, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, some other yet to be announced platforms, and no setup of wallets, no token swaps, no on-off ramping fiat. Everything is built right into your traditional regular gaming experience, while taking care of the on-chain and blockchain components all seamlessly in the background. So that's kind of step one. Step two, of course, is to just build something that people want to play, just for the sake of playing, irrespective of anything else. And obviously, we took care of both of these items, as you very well know.
Mm-hmm. And then, maybe we could also touch on, the actual distribution angle, because we haven't hit on that, and I think that's super important in terms of platforms. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, first, I'm super happy to announce that we will be going from closed North American and European playtests within the next 30 to 60 days to allowing access worldwide. So that's a massive, massive, massive step for us. So we're very, very, very close to actually having the first mainstream blockchain-enabled game ever to launch on console. So that's one. Two, during that launch, we will have a massive, massive, massive campaign. I can't get into the details yet of that, but you guys will see it very, very shortly. But a massive campaign is planned around that includes actual people playing the game, sharing the game, and other things, like I said, that you guys will see.
Sorry?
And other things that you guys will see soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't stress that enough, guys. This is already running completely seamlessly on console. I mean, this is the first game with an on-chain footprint to ever do so. Feedback across the playtest, across every platform has been insane so far. So yeah, very excited to see where all of that goes. Also very excited to announce that, Delphi's making a very, very large strategic investment in these guys. It's going to be our largest gaming bet ever. And very excited to see what the next sort of 30 to 60 days bring as we approach the launch timeline here. But as some of us that have been around the industry for a while, it's this sort of mythical beast of a AAA game to be born of crypto has kind of eluded many of us. But I have a total conviction that this is going to be our sort of best shot on goal. So very excited to see what comes with that. Theo, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the sort of validator setup and what that facilitates in terms of like a longer term vision for the ecosystem. How's that likely to evolve over time?
Absolutely. But prior to saying that, I'll also point out that you guys are now the largest node validator for the Gunzilla ecosystem. So that's going to be part of the announcement.
There we go.
Super exciting for us. So what we have is we have 10,000 nodes that mint in-game items and get paid directly by the gamer for that service. These nodes will be fully upgradable through a yet-to-be-announced process to then start minting in-game items and get paid for minting in-game items for other games that launch on our ecosystem, which is the Gunz chain, which includes our own non-custodial wallet that we developed and launched and has already been running for almost a year, available in iOS and Android stores. It includes our blockchain scanner that I touched on before. It includes our NFT marketplace that is accessible on desktop as well as within the console environment as well as within our wallet. And all these other components that all these games that we'll be bringing onto our chain will be able to fully white label and then again utilize the validator system to validate transactions and mint in-game items. So our vision for this is to allow folks to have fully upgradable nodes that will be minting for any and every game within the ecosystem.
Amazing. Very excited for that. I think we had a short video to play as well that gave a bit of more of a cinematic overview as well as some insight into what that whole hex extraction process looks like. So maybe we can get that spun up now.
Absolutely. And we'll actually also showcase the ecosystem itself as well and show that it's already all built and ready to go. All right. One thing I'll point out is that this is actually all in-game assets rendered by the in-game engine and not just cutscenes.
Yeah, I think I'd also like to stress it was my utter dismay that we weren't allowed to show any gameplay just yet, but to re-emphasize, the playtests have been live for like 3 or 4 months now. You can jump in every weekend. The servers are open for, I think 6 or 7 hours on Friday, Saturday, Sunday now. All this stuff is fully built, fully live. We're not far from kind of game launch here, so that gameplay that you saw running at the start as well is like over a year old by now. Strongly recommend digging in and checking out some of this for yourselves. And so yeah, Theo, in terms of like countdown to launch, what people should do in terms of following for more information now, where should they go?
Absolutely. So number one, follow us please on X @playoffthegrid, and sign up for our playtests on playoffthegrid.com at the Pioneer program. And thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you, Piers, for the wonderful interview.
And thanks to the Token 2049 team as well.
Absolutely, they've been fantastic.